All right, welcome back to the homestead. It won't be long and fall will be upon us, and it's time to get our broccoli in the ground and try to protect it through the rest of the summer heat so that we can have a harvest before we get our first freeze, and we're going to bring you along. All right, in this bed we had some pink eye purple hull peas, and those are all finished up. They're all finished up over here. I took the scissors, I come along and I sheared them off and left the roots in the ground. Peas are a nitrogen fixer, so we're going to utilize that to feed our broccoli plants that we have here. So we left the roots in the ground to rot, and as those rot, those are going to release nitrogen to our broccoli plants. So I have a little measuring stick, and every 18 inches I plant my broccoli plants, and then I come over a row and then 18 inches in a triangle offset pattern. And so in this bed total I have 24 broccoli plants. Right behind me I also planted out 24 broccoli plants. And I have just about 15 broccoli plants left right here, and I have a whole tray of Brussels sprouts, and we still have to plant those out. So let's go over to our next bed, and I'll show you how we pop these in the ground. Okay, if you notice this asparagus that's in this bed, the last couple of years we've raised our asparagus in this bed. We pulled it all out of here, at least we thought we did, and we transplanted it along the back row over there. What you see here was some pieces of some roots that I missed. Now, one beneficial thing is this gives just a little bit of shade to these nice young tender plants, and we're going to utilize that to shade our plants through the rest of this hard summer heat. All right, so because we have fabric in the ground, it holds moisture very well. So we're going to come over close to the corner of our bed, pop up a little hole, grab out a broccoli plant. Look at all those nice roots on that. We planted these about a month ago, getting ready for this this day. Pop those in the ground like that. We already have our irrigation in place. I got some little minor repairs to do, but I had this little treated stick that I had left over. It's I used them for staking tomatoes and peppers and stuff, and I cut this one to 18 inches long. So every 18 inches I come along and pop a plant in the ground, and I bury it all the way up until I get to the first leaf. I'll show you with this one. Kind of massage them out. But if you look right here, where that first leaf comes off, right here. So we can bring the dirt all the way up to about right here, and that'll give this plant a nice deep root system so that those roots will survive any kind of heat or drying out. So we're going to come over about right here, and in a triangle format, pop it in the ground. Some of these have 2 plants to a pod. I'll come back in a week or two once these all are established, and I'll pull out the weakest plant or snap it off so that we only have 1 plant per hole. We don't want to do any more than that. Okay, we're going to finish planting out this bed, but in the past I've had problems. Either the weather gets me, some type of a caterpillar will hit me, and we've also had a mouse in this garden, and it's also done a little bit of damage. So to hedge my bets against anything going wrong with these broccoli plants, we're going to finish planting these out, and I'm going to take you back over, and we're going to plant some more seed and get those ready for in case we need them for a future planting, and maybe even a second harvest before we get a hard freeze. Some of these are looking a little wilted. I'm gonna have to go get the watering can. And after we do our transplants, we always water our plants in real good anyway. But the heat index with today was 100 degrees. I'm really concerned about how these plants are gonna do. See, they got a little bit of moisture in it, but some of them are starting to wilt a little bit from the extreme heat they've been out here. So we should end up 2.5, 3 beds of broccoli, 1 big bed of Brussels sprouts. And I've never had any luck with Brussels sprouts. We're gonna give them another go this year. Last year we had a really early hard freeze, and so any potential I would have had for Brussels sprouts last year, that got ruined, and our plants just didn't turn out, and neither did our broccoli really, because right in the middle of December, we typically don't have a hard freeze until January, but right as our plants were getting ready to put on that nice broccoli head, the freeze come along and killed all of our plants. And that's one of the reasons Michelle has been hounding me this year, is like, we have got to get our greenhouse in the ground. I'm tired of buying store-bought broccoli.
And Brussels sprouts.
Yeah, so we're gonna work, we got a sawmill coming, so we're gonna work real hard to get some cedar cut, and then hopefully right here where all these beds are, we're going to enclose it and put in a greenhouse, and maybe that will extend our season through fall and for an early spring also. But these 48 plants that we're of broccoli that we're planting, that should get us all the way through the year. For broccoli, we typically eat broccoli about once a week. We'll come right in here and put our broccoli right in the middle of the shade. We had some amaranth here earlier this year, and our amaranth did really well underneath this little filtered light that these asparagus plants provided. And I didn't anticipate that. So I saw that the plants that were kind of shaded a little bit, they did better than the plants that were just in the straight hot sun. So I'm hoping that maybe we'll leave the asparagus plants in here for the future. Maybe that'll be a tactic that we just take a simple advantage of. I don't know. Four more broccoli to go. And then we can start planting out Brussels sprouts. Typically our first frost date here is in November, like around November 1st, November 15th. We get our first good frost. And then our freeze, like I said earlier, we usually come in January when it really dips down in temperature. But our days to harvest is about 60 days for broccoli. So hopefully we can be 60 days out before we get our first hard freeze so that we can get an actual broccoli harvest this year. It's always a struggle to go from extreme heat to extreme cold in the fall. This one definitely needs some water. Now, since we didn't have any nitrogen fixing plants in here, we're going to come back and we're going to fertilize these. That one's really not worth bothering. We're going to come back and fertilize these with fish emulsion. Good natural, and that one didn't turn out either. Okay, looks like we're done with the broccoli for now. We're going to head on over and plant some more seeds just to hedge our bets like we said. So let's go on over and do that. Okay, now whenever we typically start our seeds, most people go out and they'll buy a seed starting mix. And to tell you the truth, the difference between a good potting soil and a seed starting mix is just the size of the particles. They really sift through and get that finer stuff for a seed starting mix. But I didn't want to spend the extra money to go out and buy a small bag of seed starting mix when I already have potting soil on hand. And what you just saw me plant right there, that was all done in potting soil. So I just come along, get our tray of potting soil, and I fill these up. Just lay it on top and just move it around until it all goes down the hole. Now we don't want to pack, and she's showing you what we're using. By no means are we recommending this brand. This is just something that we have on hand.
It's just saying potting mix.
Just potting mix with fertilizer. My preferred is if I didn't have one, if I had one without fertilizer, I would rather use that, because seedlings, they have enough energy where they don't need a fertilizer. A fertilizer will risk burning a young plant. But this is a pretty gentle mix. It's a budget brand, so I'm not too concerned about it. But we just level off our tray like that. And just give that a little shake. We don't pack it down. You don't want to pack it down.
Why?
Because you want to give enough air space in there for the roots to easily travel throughout the potting soil. Now I did stop off at a store and I bought one of these seed trays. And I thought this was something I would try out, and come to tell you the truth, I just don't like it. When it fits down in here, it fits down in there really nice. But look at the difference in the amount of soil between the two. The roots just seem to have done so much better when you have a longer area for the roots to go down through. So my plants, when I did a side-by-side comparison of how these broccoli plants were vice the broccoli plants in the deeper cells did a much better looking plant, and that's what I'm going to use from now on. I don't see me ever using this one again unless I'm just in dire straits. So I'm just going to put this on a top shelf in my garage, and we might revisit that someday if I really need to. Okay, let's go on over and let's pop some seeds in the ground. Okay, come over to our outdoor kitchen, our little dining room table area here, and we're going to pot up our seeds. I went to my local farm supply store, and they sell seeds in bulk, and so I got Waltham 28 broccoli seeds, and I got a very large amount for $1. This is more than you would be able to buy in a store in a packaged, but it's probably at least an ounce of seeds for just $1, and that's a lot of bang for the buck. I can generally keep these seeds for a few years and plant for 2 or 3 years off of this same bag of seeds before the seeds go bad. All right, so we just come along and we just dibble a little hole, maybe a 1/4 inch deep. And since we have a proper amount of broccoli plants in the ground, I'm not going to drop multiple seeds in these holes. I got a big, large, see, that's what you got to deal with when you're using potting soil. It's because you have big stuff like this, you kind of have to dig around that and dig that out of there. That's what's inconvenient about using potting soil. But since we already have a proper amount of broccoli plants for the year in the garden, I'm not worried about putting 2 or 3 seeds into each hole and then thinning to the strongest plant. We're just going to drop 1 seed, because we may not even get around to planting this. If we have more room that we can grow and we don't fill the garden up with other stuff, sure, we'll put these in the ground and we'll harvest them just the same. So we're just dropping one. There'll be one or two that get into a hole by accident, but just one is all we're going for here. Now I gotta hurry up and get this done because today is opening season for football and Alabama is playing right now and they're beating Miami, and I want to get back in there so that we don't miss the halftime. Coming back from halftime, figure we just come out here and shoot this video real quick and pop some plants in the ground while I had just a few minutes of time. Okay, you just come along and just brush the dirt over it. Don't tamp it down. We want those seeds to be able to push right up through that. This dirt is already moist. Until these seeds get established, I don't water top down on these seeds. What I do is I fill this tray up about half deep with water, and then I set this down in the tray and let it wick up and keep that soil. But I don't let it sit in water. I let it do that. 30 minutes later, hour, come out, dump this water. Let these sit in that moist soil until they start to dry out. In about a day or two, come back out and put them back down in the water. Usually about the third day I come out, they've already started popping the ground and starting to set their little shoots. It'll take about 3 weeks before they're ready to go in the ground under good conditions. Maybe another week longer if they're not under good conditions, just to kind of strengthen up a little bit. But like I said, this is to hedge our bets in case anything goes wrong with the plants that we have in the garden now. Well, I hope you found any of this information valuable. We encourage you to like, subscribe, and share. And we appreciate you watching, and we'll bring you back and show you the harvest.